I'm Gareth and Sale with Golf Business, and it's a pleasure to have with us here in the Motivate studio today Atif Rahman, who is a good friend of Golf Business and somebody who is the founder and chairman of ORO24. But Atif, we're not going to be talking a lot about real estate today. We're going to be talking about technology, right?
Brilliant. One of my favorite topics outside of real estate. And I think it's a little known fact, right? I've said it with many interviews with yourselves, that I do real estate because of my grandfather and my father. They taught me this real estate and construction. But it's a little known fact that as a young rebel, I thought it's a very dirty industry, cement and concrete and steel, and I wanted to be a little more white collar. So I actually went for graduating in computer science in the 90s when it was fairly new. In fact, as a matter of fact, we were the second batch of my university, BIT, one of the best in India. And I did fairly well because I was one of the four guys who got distinction in a batch of 408 people. Fond memories of the university, 720 acres on a hilltop. I mean, mesmerizing, beautiful university. And back then there was no specialization, to be honest. In computer science we had to learn everything. We had to learn telephony, we had to learn network, we had papers on finance. We had papers on communication. We had communication of course, on software programming and everything. So I mean, we had to pretty much mug up and learn everything you can think of in terms of computer science, the hardware to the software to everything.
So I'm trying to imagine you Atif back in the 90s and being at university. What motivated you to study computer science? Because today you're in a very different field that we'll get back to that later,
Yeah,
and in terms of how you've started to integrate technology into what you're doing every day here.
yeah.
But what was it that drove you towards computer science then? Because especially there, it's at your university, it must have been extremely competitive as well.
Very competitive, very competitive. In fact, as a matter of fact, Gareth, I didn't choose it. I'll be very honest with you. I went as a rebel. I thought it's a cool thing. It sounds very attractive. You're talking about, and then back in the days, I'm telling you honest, if you could type fast on the keyboard, you could attract girls. That's a fact.
Wow.
You'd be quite highly rated. And then I think it was more of, I mean, social attraction that led me to that industry. But when I was studying, if I can say so, in my entire life, if I genuinely worked hard and studied in my education era, I think it was my university. It changed me. And a lot of the professors at the university were successful entrepreneurs. They had written several programs for the government of India, for the state governments, because that's where the deployment of computer science was happening, right? In the railways. And I still remember I was involved in one of the projects which was meant for transformer maintenance for Power Grid Corporation of India Limited. So we had to develop a software which will record which transformer is down, which is up, from the power generation units. So that's where majority of the deployment was happening, at the federal or the state government, right? And I think I was awestruck with what they were achieving and how they were changing the world back then. Amazing professors. So I think I owe it to I went there out of social appeal and social attraction. I totally owe it to my professors over there and the university, the ambience it had, the kind of atmosphere it created, the kind of platform it gave to us. It was mesmerizing. I mean, I still remember a whole building, right, is a supercomputer. A
Hmm.
whole building used to be a supercomputer. Look at how today we are talking about nanochips, right? I remember Param 2000, it was installed in our university, and it was one separate building of supercomputer, just one supercomputer. That's it.
And we've gone from that, like you say, to nano chips and to artificial intelligence. As a computer science graduate, what do you make of the whole AI trend that just seems to be taking over every single aspect of our life?
I think, Gareth, the way I look at AI is from the fundamentals, and AI for me is data and algorithm. That's a fundamental of computing. Simple. So whether it was back in the day on Fox Pro or when we were learning C, C hash, VB, VB plus, or Oracle. I think we started from Oracle 8, if I recall it correctly, 8 or 8i. The front end, the Oracle apps, and the backend database or the SQL database. I mean, uh, it was the fundamental of programming. There's nothing. It's like, when you see your Microsoft Windows and you go and click on the start button, right? That's programming.
Mm.
What does it work on? It works on data. Where are you clicking? And then algorithm which makes it do the action, right? That is AI. So AI is nothing. It's a new, in my opinion, it's a new terminology, but it's a fundamental of computing, right? The application of that data and algorithm combination is being taken to the next level, and that's why it is expanding the horizon of what it can achieve. But as such, in terms of technology, is the fundamental of computing, data and algorithm. That's how I look at it.
But it's evolved to natural language processing where, maybe before you'd click on a button, but now you can actually talk to a machine
Yeah.
and it gives you an answer back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how is AI impacting your life on a day-to-day basis at the moment, and even your business? Are you looking at AI? I imagine you are.
Yep, you're right. We've been implementing it from the beginning of ORO24. But let me give you an example, right? So, whatever mail server you were using, Hotmail or Yahoo or Gmail, whichever mail service you were using. So you would open the web page and you would key in your user ID and the password, right? Now, this is the AI bit, right? So when you go in there, you type in your user ID, your password, you click on login, right? Works, right? Now, the AI bit is, okay, Mr. Gareth always logs in from the machine with this IP address or this MAC address. So why should he be typing his email address? Why don't we actually save it? And every time he opens Yahoo Mail or Gmail, let's give him the option of selecting that email address, right? And then goes to the next level. Why should he be typing in the passwords? Let's create an option to save the password. So basically, if you look at the whole AI thing, the way it works is very simple. You keep expanding the use of it. Like, for example, if you say the AI for imaging example, right? How they use AI as a technology, artificial intelligence, uh, to recreate your images in a different background. How? It functions because there's a library of images available. So if you remove that library, it won't function. Data, right?
Mm.
So I'm using that data and I'm creating the code that, with so many millions of images, say from Piccadilly Circus in London, Mr. Gareth, who might not have been there, how do I create an image which makes Mr. Gareth look like standing in Piccadilly Circus? So data is taken from there, and then it goes through extreme level of fine tuning through programming. That, okay, give him option of standing on this corner of Piccadilly Circus, right? And then you can take it to next level, a daytime image or a twilight image or an evening image. But if I remove all the data reference point, the images from the archive or the library, how does it function? And still make it function by going and like Google Map, right? I think that is AI,
Mm.
right? It's taking data, right, and telling you, right? How does it tell you when Google Map was launched? So it's advancement of technology, right? It won't be able to tell you predictively how much time it would take you from point A to point B, but because it has got the data and there's a computing happening on behind that, using the data, the algorithm, right? It is able to preemptively tell you, right? That, okay, if you go from point A to point B in the morning, it is should take you X number of minutes or hours. And if you go in the, so it's taking stack of data, running through it, right? And then giving you the answer. That's computing, data and algorithm. right?
But we've got this sea of data which AI technologies are able to tap now,
Yeah,
right? Because the internet has exploded over the
yeah,
last
yeah,
3 decades,
yeah,
4 decades.
yeah.
There's an unlimited amount of data
That's it.
that sits there, and
Yeah,
it's all there for the taking. Really,
yeah. It
it's the
is.
new gold, I guess, or
It
the
is. It
new
is. It is in
or
many
the new
ways.
oil.
Many ways, and that's why I'd say investment in data center would be as lucrative as investment in oil rig, possibly. I might be wrong, but I think it's equally attractive business, and that's why I said someone asked me data center, what do you think of it? And we've done some extreme research on it over the period of last 2-3 years. We've been looking at different ways and methods of doing it. So it's a combination of real estate and technology. And real estate is a very small element of it,
Mm.
really, but the technology side of it, how do you create powerful machines and the air conditioning units and many things, I think that's a lucrative business right now, data center, because the amount of data that is being produced right now, every phone in your hand, right, it is listening to you. You've heard so many times. So the my take is that the front camera that you see in the mobile phone was actually not just for selfies. It was actually to see where are you looking at the image, right? So taking the neuroscience, right, and taking that neuroscience data, like if you're looking at an image, right, which part of that image are you looking at, right,
Mm.
and take that data and then produce more of that. So that's how it is. It's
Yeah.
the amount of data that is floating in the world. It's a little scary, to be honest, at times as well. But I think, yeah, yes, you're right. Data is the new gold, or the new crude oil, or whatever you want to call it. But data is a commodity. It's a very precious commodity now.
So let's talk about data centers, because I saw your eyes light up
Yeah.
the moment that we mentioned that, and I think it combines two passions of yours. Is that a fair thing to say?
Actually, in many ways, yeah, it does combine real estate and technology. Uh, I think I would maintain it that whatever we try to do, I don't know the future. I can't write a success script. I don't know that, but I do know to build something in a disruptive way, something that will have the ability, or the at least the ability to attempt changing the world in a good way, and combination of real estate and technology. So how we can deliver more, say, processing capacity and storage capacity in lesser space by optimizing the use of electricity and also air conditioning. So that's what I keep playing with, and see how we can evolve that, and see if there's an opportunity over there.
So you say that you've been playing with it, or playing with the idea in your mind, but have you got any plans of? I mean, have you looked at the data center market here, for example?
Yeah,
And
yeah, we have quite closely, and it requires many things to click for you. I always believe that I'm not in a business of gambling. I'm in a business of doing business, and it has to be meticulously planned approach, right? And I always feel that I can't be an impulsive businessman. I like to do my research, my study, uh, and then be aware of what I'm trying to do. So you don't rush into anything at any given point of time. We like to take meticulous approach towards anything in business. So yes, we have been working on it, not just in my mind, on the drawing board as well, with some technology partners in pretty advanced stages. Uh, I do look at it as an opportunity, but nothing that we would be planning to move forward in the near future. When I say near future, is nothing in the next couple of quarters. Maybe if it happens after that, who knows?
okay, so maybe it's a midterm plan, or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
longer
yeah,
term plan, so
yeah,
to speak.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, what are the opportunities in that market? Because we know that the big tech companies have moved into the into the GCC, really,
yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of rolling out data centers. So
yeah,
you've got the Oracles of the world.
yeah,
Google, I think last year they launched a major data center
yeah, yeah,
project
yeah.
in Saudi
Amazon,
Arabia. Amazon,
yeah,
the works,
Microsoft,
Microsoft.
yeah,
So obviously, all of these big companies are becoming core tenants here.
yeah,
But what I've noticed from my side is that it's almost like as if you're a big tech giant, you come and you build a data center, But is I mean, are there opportunities around building a data center that could have, or that could be tenant agnostic here?
When you look at the big giants, right, they have a different market. Like in real estate, they're the big players. They're big players, local, regional, and global, right? Still, there's a lot of space for mid and small developers. Same as for data center, right? And I think there's a different way they look at it, and there's so many use of data center. It's not just for storage and processing, but even for, say, for example, movie industry. A lot of shooting today happens through green wall, and then everything else is done through renders and visualization, which happens through data center. So that's another market that it caters to. So I mean, there's a huge use case. And while you would have the big giants who would always lead the industry, but then you always believe in one thing in technology. Name one player who's one of the Mag 7 as the Mag 7 stocks of NYSE, right? Name one of them, which was a very big giant or a force to reckon with when they started. None of them. They all started small. They all started from zero. They all had a very, very molecular beginning, right? To say in comparison to where they are right now. And we also know there are so many technology giants that get wiped out, right? Look at Intel, for example. It's feeling the heat from Nvidia, right? And then Nvidia feeling the heat from, the Chinese
Mm.
manufacturer. So I mean, it's anybody's game, to be very honest, right? And I always feel that technology, there are two very important things for it to be successful. One is data, uh, not the data of uh, the data that surfaces from users. I'm talking about the business data.
Mm.
And you would see lack of it, that analytics and data science has led to arrogance and losing opportunities, right? So right now, like look at AI, for example. What's the kind of fight happening between Google and Microsoft? And Microsoft looks like taking the lead, and then it's anybody's game. You never know what's happening undercover, and then suddenly it comes out, and it looks like the next big thing. Who would have thought Chat GPT, right?
Yeah.
Well, for me, the way
Or
I look
even
at it,
DeepSeek, which came out of left field earlier this year.
I think all of us must give credit to Yahoo, MSN, if you remember, right? The search engines, which
Yes.
led to Google.
Yeah.
And then now you're talking about ChatGPT and whatnot. I mean, they all successful if they have data,
Mm.
right? And data, I think everyone is willingly servicing that industry without charging any royalty. All of us, me, you, everyone, right? Where I go, what I eat, what I
Yeah.
wear,
Yeah. Everything
where
is
I
personalized.
shop, everything. I'm flushing out data every day, right? And we're not getting paid, by the way, for all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's how it functions, right? Data, and then ability to use that data, the data science and the algorithm and the computing that you put behind that.
So I think obviously data is a topic that you're passionate about. And how are you using data analytics, algorithms, machine learning, all of that fancy stuff in your day-to-day business? I mean, are you are you paying attention to all the data points, and how are you using that to your advantage?
So you mentioned one very very interesting subject over the machine learning. There's no machine that has the ability to learn. Let me put it this way. So again, I'm to simplify it for a layman or common man. There is no machine that has the ability to learn. Very simple. So that terminology itself is even to an extent artificial intelligence. There's no intelligence behind that. There's a human who's writing the codes. All the bunch of humans across the globe who are producing the data, right? Combined together, it's creating the outcome. So there's no machine learning as such. So I'm writing the codes, and I remember, the problem of these codes is that they could go into infinite loops and get lost and crash, right, at some point of time, because there's no boundary to it, right?
Mm.
And as a simple programmers, so machine learning, right, is basically bunch of people who are writing the codes. Of course, there are a lot of method behind that. I'm not saying there's a lot of method, a lot of thought, a lot of planning behind that, right? But then they're humans who are writing the codes. It is telling the computer that Mr. Gareth, if he keeps logging in from this IP address for 5 times, and then you give him the option. If you see Mr. Gareth trying to log in from another machine, you got to ask Mr. Gareth, is it you or someone else? So there's no, so I'm simplifying algorithm, that's why in my office, we always believe in flowchart and algorithm before any code is written, right? And so I have my own programmers. I've got 12 programmers of my own and 20 people IT and digital hub team, right? And they keep building all these programs. And while we have our full-blown ERP from Oracle that is deployed, uh, it's a human. There's no machine which is learning. There's a human who's writing the codes telling the machine what to do. So I can generalize it. So I'm simplifying it. Algorithm is simple English, right? Simple English commands, right? So I'm saying if Mr. Gareth uses user ID this and password this, it's Mr. Gareth. Please allow him to log in. If Mr. Gareth, now next level of algorithm, if Mr. Gareth uses this ID and this password from this IP and this MAC address, that is his machine. Take it as Mr. Gareth's machine, right? If Mr. Gareth has been using this user ID and password from this machine for more than 5 times, preemptively tell him, this is your email address. Would you want to? If Mr. Gareth has been using this machine for more than 5 times using this user ID, ask him, do you want to save the password? If Mr. Gareth is suddenly using a different machine, ask him, is it you? You understand?
Yeah. So,
So that's programming. That's
yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
So there's no machine learning happening over here. There's a human, mainframe human. And that's why I tell, what do you think of technology boom? Do you think a lot of people will go jobless? I said, no, a lot of people move into technology and become programmers, right? So it's as simple as that. Then I can develop programs which can write the codes. The
Right.
fear
Yeah.
I have is lack of regulation. To where's the boundary? Where do you stop? How detrimental it can be, how well it has been tested. If it fails, who do you hold responsible? Who's accountable for it?
So
That's my fear.
what keeps you up at night around that?
Oh, you name it. I mean, I've always been a inquisitive kid and now inquisitive grown-up man with a lot of gray hair.
Well, not a
So
lot.
a lot, a lot, a lot, a really lot. And I think no, I say it on a lighter note, Gareth.
Well, at
That
least you still got your hair. I mean, compared to me,
well, there is, this is how I think the world is. People thought hair care products will spoil the hair, and then it led to the industry of hair transplant. So there's always something that will happen. The industry will progress, right?
yeah.
And then I say it on a lighter note. Every weekend, the hairstylist becomes richer, and men become younger.
True. If only it really worked like that.
So,
Yeah.
what keeps me up through the night? I think
Hmm.
it's hunger for knowledge, hunger for learning. There's no end to it. That hunger for why, how. I think that's what is so exciting. After a point in time, Gareth, money becomes irrelevant. Success becomes irrelevant. Uh, Recognition becomes irrelevant. Award becomes irrelevant. Uh, to a great degree, you choose to liberate yourself from many luxuries of life. Like I mean, I live a very simple life. I'm pretty much dressed the same way every day. I eat. At my age, eating can be a problem, right? So eating in a very controlled way. So I mean, it's that hunger for knowledge is what keeps me up, and
Hmm.
it could be. Uh, I mean, to a great degree, it will revolve around real estate, technology, business, maybe a little bit of healthcare, wellness, human life, how it is changing. And we look at data like you. But I think you asked me 2 questions over there: machine learning, and then how do we use the data? Human life, and I think I've mentioned in one of your interviews How do we innovate? I said, nothing. We just look at human life. Like, simple,
Yeah.
There were two PowerPoints next to your side table, which was fine because you had a night lamp and nothing else, right? Today, you've got an iPhone, AirPods, and or maybe another brand, whatever. So, a watch and a MagSafe. How many things to charge, right? So you gotta change the way those power sockets are there next to your night table, right? So I think it's human life, right?
How would you describe ORO24 then? Because for me, you say that you've got 15 programmers. It's primarily been a real
12,
estate
12,
12.
12,
Okay,
and
12.
and another 8 in my cybersecurity, and then for licensed software, there's a separate team. There's separate set of people for the DHCP, the domain management, and then also network management and firewall management. So we're pretty uh, well placed in terms of our technology footprint.
Okay, right. So that's mainly for, I guess, your sort of internal administrative needs on the business
Yeah,
side in
yeah.
terms of the tech that you've got. But the whole space of prop tech.
Mm.
What is your take on what's happening there, and is it something that you take a look at in terms of trying to break into? Because I think that it's a space where there's a lot happening, isn't
Have you been spending some time in our office of late?
there?
One of my uh, very favorite subject right now, for quite some time actually, since 2019 to be precise. I've been, looking at it very seriously. Uh, Understated, underutilized, extremely virgin. If you say prop tech, a lot of people just think of BIM and listing sites and things like that. Oh, tremendous opportunity. I think we will have an edge because we understand real estate and we understand technology, how to plug it together. We've been working on a few things. Yeah, it's a subject of interest. Extremely virgin opportunity, tremendous opportunity because it is serving a human life. Uh, I can assure you, whatever, if we ever do it, anything, whether it's real estate or technology or a combination of it, we'll do it in a very responsible way. We'll do it in a meticulous way, in a way that it will help change human life for good. That's what we'll try to remain focused on. Prop tech is an ocean of its own.
So tell me more. I mean, what are you looking to do that could that could tangibly change people's lives or some of your customers, your users?
Some Gareth is one of the smartest people I've ever given interview. He got it, he smelled it, and he wants more information. I'll
That's
try
what I
to
do.
I'll try to maintain the confidentiality of what we're trying to do,
Yeah,
and yet
yeah.
spill the beans just a little bit. I mean, yeah, let's look at this way. I've said many times, you're born in a hospital, which is a real estate. You live in a house, which is a real estate. You go to a school, which is a real estate. You go for healthcare in a hospital, which is a
Mm.
healthcare. You go to a college, which is a real estate. You go to shopping in a mall or retail shop, it's a real estate. You go to work in an office, it's a real estate. So real estate is an integral part of human life, and that's why I feel I have to be very responsible in how we design real estate. Right now, uh, technology is something that is taken over a human life, right? So much so, so much so that you had rehab centers for anti-narcotics. People talk about detox from technology and social media and digital media. That's how much it has taken over a human life. To be very honest, I love to do that. Like off late, I have been on a detox for the last 2 weeks. I'm staying away from it, right? The problem with the problem is that and excess of anything is bad, whether it's food
Mm.
or oxygen or anything. Same as technology, same as data, right? Uh, you gotta look at that optimum use of it, combining it for serving a human life. So the way you open your doors, the way you maintain your house, the way you say order cleaning services,
Mm.
so on and so forth, right?
Right.
So I mean everything. It covers pretty much everything, right? But like I said, the reason why I'm extremely confident that we can disrupt it is because we understand real estate and technology in a way where I think it's a very unique combination. And that's why I feel more confident about it. So it's something that is very close to my heart. I've been dreaming about it. I've been planning for it, and like I say, it's not in hunger of any kind of success or a point to prove or something like that. I'll do it when I feel that no, I'm totally convinced about it. We have a case over here, and we can, disrupt.
So it sounds to me it's about taking the smart home to the next level.
Well, smart home is a molecular element of that. Let me put it this way.
So it's much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. It's a very, very wide horizon. And it's not just about, like I said, generally it is taken as uh, a portal where you can list your properties, do transactional and fractional ownership. And, well, this is quite dollar focused
Hmm.
approach, right? There's much more than that.
So
Much more than
there's
that.
a lot more to prop tech.
Oh, ocean is what I can say.
Do you think it's fair to say that prop tech hasn't taken off in the way that one would expect it in a place like the UAE?
Across the globe, I have data. We've done research. When I say we've been working on it, we've done research on 789 companies across the globe. It's more than $1 trillion industry. It has the potential of more than $1 trillion
Hmm.
industry. Let me put it this way. It's only toggling between few billions, largely focused in North America. And the reason is, I'll tell you why Facebook or Instagram or TikTok was successful. Because the technology understood the product. What is the product? Product was a human life, right?
Hmm.
So if you look at a human life, layer it with technology, right? That's it. That's what it is. That's what Meta is, right? Facebook or Instagram or whatever, right? The problem here is technology, of course, understands technology. That's the simplest part, right? But doesn't understand the product, which is real estate. And that's why it has not been conquered.
And that's where the opportunities lie.
Exactly.
So Asif, I'm gonna close off and ask you about, where you see technology going in the next 5 to 10 years with all the experience in the background that you've got, and how it's going to impact our lives on a day-to-day basis. I think you've made some interesting points that you don't believe in the term machine learning. It's
No.
it's more humans that are
Writing the
prompting the
codes. Yeah.
machines to
Yeah.
realize patterns or find certain
Trends.
correspondences.
Yeah. Yeah.
But where do you see all of this going? Because I think a lot of people are just trying to catch up, really. And I
Yeah.
think every day it just seems as if this wave is accelerating.
I think uh, one of the things I really fear about technology is like space imaging, for example.
Yeah.
The number of satellites that were there, it has not quadrupled. I think it was, if I remember the data correctly, there used to be 1,700 or odd satellites. Today it's more than 100,000 in like just over a decade, right?
Yeah.
There's a big war to win that space, right? And the space imaging has resulted in so many things which can be detrimental for the world. The debris that is being produced over there in the space, in our atmosphere, basically, the ability of those debris to go and damage some sensitive satellites, right? It's my fear about technology is that there's no regulation that controls it. So it's like the wild industry, right? Uh, the reason why it's not regulated is because the people who understand technology don't want it to be regulated, and the people who are supposed to be regulating, they don't understand technology as well,
Mm.
as smartly. That's why it's not regulated. So basically, it's like a free bull having a free world of its own. It's very important that there are responsible people, right, associated with it. Uh, let's talk about real estate industry. imagine what will happen in Dubai real estate if you remove the layer of RERA and land department, right? We all know it'll be catastrophe. Same as with technology. This lack of regulation and control. The way it is presented to you, it is going to solve your problem. It is going to save your life, simplify your life. Let me share something with you. You were sold technology that you create this user ID and password, right? Today we are talking about how many passwords do you have in life that you need to save and remember. Today we are talking about password vault to be able to save all those, right? Do you realize that what you think is a password is nothing but a database entry sitting in a table? Well, it could be encrypted.
Could be not.
It could be, no, it's certainly encrypted because
Yeah.
not from anyone else, from competitors, from cyber attacks, right? So it is definitely encrypted. And there are many ways. I have my own way of encryption and then second layer of security on the data that sits on our server and the third layer of security. So we are very conscious of it. That's
Mm.
why I have a cybersecurity department as well,
Mm.
right? I mean, it's a database entry, right? End of the day, someone has written the codes on how to,
Yeah.
you know, secure it. But then it can always be broken, right? So you think it's a password. I'm telling you, it's a database entry. Now you are sitting with tons of password. Now you're talking about having a password vault so that you can save all these passwords, right? That's how complex it becomes. And at no point of time, I think it was ever positioned as that, oh, it will make your life complex, right? Social media, it will connect people, it'll bring people together. We gotta judge the outcome. We gotta look at the outcome, and there has to be very, uh, I would say, rational regulation, uh, responsible regulation developed for technology. Otherwise, it has uh, great potential of damaging a human life. At the same time, technology is the most important thing because you look at what technology does in healthcare, right? Like you, and it
Yeah.
all started from defense and healthcare, by the way, the boom of technology, right? So the pager system, the mobile was mainly for cardiac surgeons, right?
Well, the internet stemmed out of the military
Yeah,
space, didn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my closing note would be that let's always remember where the technology was born from. It was from defense to save human life, for healthcare, for again serving human life. Let's be responsible in how we look at technology, how we use technology. uh, Again, like I was talking about password vault, right?
Mm.
Password vault is, again, I'm collecting all my passwords, putting in one place and then putting one password on it. So
Yeah.
it's like, what if I lose this password, right? What if this is
Yeah.
attacked,
It's
right?
pretty meta, isn't it?
It is crazy. It
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. I love it because, you know, the reason why technology is successful is because I don't want to put a number and offend, but a majority of people don't understand how technology functions on the back end, and that's why
Yeah.
it's very mesmerizing. That's the key secret behind the success of technology, right? So it's like I'm sure you've noticed something. I don't stop talking. The moment you ask me a question, I just keep talking. I keep talking. I can keep talking about it. I can keep giving you my opinion about it. But I must put a closing note. AI is a great thing. Uh, I think let's look at it as a technology of data and algorithm. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think if it is used in the right way, it has possibility of changing human life for good. It has that power of transforming human life. There's no machine learning. Uh, Things like data center are brilliant, brilliant investment opportunities. Uh, I mean, just imagine the amount of data we have created just right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
how many mobile phones were sitting over here listening to what we were saying, and you know.
Well, even the words from this podcast, there's probably an AI bot
Well,
somewhere that is
we
scanning it and
just
transcribing it, right?
we just given birth to a new data baby right now,
Yeah,
Gareth.
yeah, absolutely. We have birthed it into the world, and
Yeah.
and it's
We
on its way.
on its way, and
Yeah.
we won't get any royalty paid for that, you
No, no.
know. But I think it's
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's lovely technologies. We got to be responsible in like any other industry, and there has to be strong regulations. Uh, I think Middle East is a virgin market for technology, and you'll see a continuous growth in investment in technology in the Middle East, right?
Well, Atif Rahman, don't be a stranger to the Golf Business Podcast. We always love having a chat with you and talking to you,
Love it too. Love it too.
and always go into such deep topics. And next time, let's have you on board when maybe you've invested in a data center at
Who
some point.
knows? Who knows? Maybe, maybe. But I can tell you one thing that we'll continue to be responsible, and we'll continue to be inquisitive as a business. We'll continue to have the hunger for learning, increasing knowledge, doing whatever best we can do, personally, myself, or through my business. That will continue. And always a pleasure meeting you, Gareth, and giving interviews to you or a podcast with you. It's always lovely. You know, I don't know how much people understand that we literally start the podcast straight with the topics without even preparing for it.
Well, that's the way we do it, and I think it's always best for the conversation for the audience as
It
well.
is. It
Thank you
is.
so much,
Thank you for
Atif.
having me. Thank you.